Hi everyone, I'm Jean-Paul, and in this video we're going to talk about plugins and what could be a good way to organize them in Ableton Live 10 and sync them across multiple devices or platforms even. But let's talk about the plugin formats first. In Live we can generally use two of them: audio units, which is a format by Apple, and VST, which is a format by Steinberg. Now both formats are supported in the Apple environment, whereas VST is the only supported format for Live on Windows. Now if you were wondering which file format you should use, this could already be the answer to your question, because unless you work strictly in the Apple environment and, for example, with Logic, I personally don't see another good reason to use audio units. The thing is, if you open a project containing audio units on a Windows machine, the project will have become useless as none of the plugins will be loaded. Converting to VST after the fact simply isn't possible, so better to do it before. So do you, for example, work with a MacBook Pro on the road and have a strong Windows PC at home, then VST is the right way to go. So let's see how it's done. Let's look at the File Folder tab in the Preferences window on both operating systems. We can see a few small differences. On macOS, we have system folders for both plugin formats. Here we see the path to those folders, where the Components folder houses the audio units and the VST folder houses the VST2 plugins. I use these system folders as it's a quicker way to install plugins, and for another reason which I will mention in just a second. There are no system folders on Windows, however, so we do have to make a folder for our VST files and point out to Live where this folder is located on our drive. So I made this VST folder on my C drive and installed all plugins in there. We could then make subfolders to categorize our plugins in there, but no, I didn't really do that. As you can see, I didn't organize my plugin folder. In fact, I don't use it at all. It's actually quite a mess, just like the one on macOS, but I'm lucky Live knows how to deal with it and fetch the necessary information from it. So the reason why I'm not organizing the plugin files themselves here is because I wouldn't be able to synchronize this between different systems, as even the file format is different. .dll for Windows and .vst files for macOS. So we're not going to use these plugin files. Instead, we're going to work with rec presets. So to show you what that is, let's go into Live and let's go to the plugins folder and scroll down to, let's say, for example, Silent One. So Silent One is a software synthesizer, and as soon as I load in a soft synth, I always immediately press a key to check if it's working. And with Silent One, you always get this amazing acid preset that you start to hate more and more every time you hear it. So it would be nice if we could load the init patch and save that as the default preset. Because now I get this blank preset and I can build a sound from there. However, we cannot save a default preset inside a plugin, at least not in Silent. But what we can do is we can group this plugin device, put it into an instrument rack, then we can unfold the chain list and we can rename this instrument rack. So let's just call this Leonard Digital, which is the brand, and then Silent One, the synth. What we also get with an instrument rack is 8 macro knobs, and we can assign our most used and most important parameters from the plugin to any of these macros. And to do that, we have to unfold the plugin, hit configure, and then press the knob that we want to assign. So now we have the filter cutoff right here, and we can assign that to any of the macros. One thing I'd like to add here is that once you've assigned these 8 macros and you load one of these rec presets on push, you instantly have a few parameters to control from the plugin at hand, rather than getting the no parameter mapped message. And the same applies to any other control surfaces for Live. You can take it even one step further and hit map over here, and then you can set minimum and maximum values for all the assigned knobs inside this instrument rack. So let's get out of there again. And let's say I configured my 8 favorite knobs right here, and let's save this as a preset. So for that, I'm going to hit the floppy disk, and then you can see that the user library opens, and inside the user library, it opens the presets folder, instruments, and then the instrument rack, because we're making an instrument rack preset. So we just hit enter. But then we're not finished, because now the file is only stored locally, and I would like it to sync to any of my other devices that I use. So for that, I have to make some custom folders, and I have those down here. So I have my instruments folder, mixing and mastering. So these are all the plugins that I use for mixing and mastering, sound design, tools, and then vocal editing. Those are the 5 that I made that are convenient for me. So in here are only presets, all instrument racks or audio effect racks for that matter, depending on the plugin. And some of them have macro knobs already assigned, some don't, because obviously it's a lot of work, and for some plugins it's just not necessary. Okay, so we go back to the user library, and now we can neatly drag this file into any of these folders. And this is only possible since Live 10, so that's pretty nice. In Live 9, you'd have to right-click this file and then show in Explorer, and then in Explorer move the file or Finder on Mac. So where are these files actually? So for that, we have to go out of Live for a second and then go into the Explorer, and then now we are in my Dropbox. So I use Dropbox. It's just one of the many cloud services that are available nowadays, so any of them will work for that matter. So let's go into my music production folder, and there it is, my Ableton presets. So here I have my 5 different folders, and in there are all the ADG files that I made myself. So that's quite a lot of work, but in the end it's gonna save you a lot of time, and let me show you why. If we go back to Live, and let's grab any of the other plugins. Yeah, sure. Let's just take this one, an audio effect rack. So now let's just grab a random parameter, assign it to the macro, and let's pretend that we like this change and that now we want to save it. Again, I hit the floppy disk icon, and now because I dragged the preset into our project from my mixing and mastering folder, it will also save the file to the same exact folder. Meaning that since it's in a Dropbox folder, it will automatically be uploaded as soon as I save it and automatically downloaded to my other system. So all of the presets will automatically be synchronized, and I don't need to worry about moving anything manually anymore. So that's a huge time saver that has helped me a lot. I have to admit, it takes a while to create all of these presets and save them to the right folders, but if you take a nice afternoon for this, you'll be very happy with the end result. Now there's one more thing that I want to add, and that is that you can also place your user library into the same cloud folder. And if in Live you point out where that user library is, so every time on every system you point out that it is in the Dropbox folder, in my case, that will mean that even the presets or anything else that I have saved in the user library, including, by the way, collections, this will all be synchronized between the different devices as well, because the information for the collections is saved inside the user library. So if you want to sync your collections as well across multiple devices, then save your user library to a cloud synced service as well. Alright, that was the video, and I hope it was useful to you and that you could learn something from it. And if something wasn't clear, feel free to ask me in the comments. And hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.